It'd be stupid to take on a MiG-21 in his best operating envelope, which is higher. He out-accelerates you, out-climb you, and out-turn you. If you don't have the advantage, run. Go home. Come back the next day. Smart.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another episode. Today we have for review the McDonnell Douglas F-4C Phantom II, and we're continuing our Vietnam era theme. Now, this particular F-4 Phantom in the colors of 8th Tactical Fighter Wing / 433 Tactical Fighter Squadron circa 1967. Now, probably some of you already observed that this specific aircraft was flown by famous retired United States Air Force Commander Officer Robin Olds. Now, going into the story details about Robin Olds probably would make this video at least 3 hours long, or probably a little more than that. As an aviation geek myself, as much as I love to talk about the aircraft history and stories and share them with you guys, but I'll do my best to summarize the high points in less than an hour. I'm trying to cut down the time here, and I'm assuming nobody wants to hear me talking for 3 hours straight about this stuff, right? But I think it is a very important to share a human stories rather than just talking about the aircraft aspects. That being said, it's not just about the airplanes, and I think the military aviation history is full of human factors and the struggle to overcome the obstacles. For example, discussing close calls and how people handle them can be just as impactful as stories of accidents and often more positive. And I always say this, every takeoff was a promise, and behind every landing was a story. But we should always consider those individuals who were involved, such as the engineers who designed those incredible machines and the air crews who maintained them, then the pilots themselves, which they spent countless of hours for training to push themselves beyond their limits. And I think the more we share those elements, the topic would be more merrier, so to speak. And unfortunately, there isn't many people around who they strive for those stories, and we're seeing that. But here we are. So, with that in mind, now I should offer a few words about Robin Olds, and I think it's an honor to pay a tribute to this extraordinary warrior, which he was a pillar of the United States Air Force during the Vietnam conflict. So, as there are quite good numbers of reviews available regarding Robin Olds, I'd like to make my own little contribution to this topic. Without further ado, let's get to it. Brigadier General Robin Olds, the call sign in Vietnam was Wolf, the Triple Ace. You guys can call him the True Maverick, but I call him the most influential commander with a bulletproof mustache. Um, a World War II ace and Vietnam ace, a legend with attitude. This American hero ace really caught my attention. So, behind the mustache was a story of a pure fighting man of exceptional brilliance. The majority of his skills were in the World War II, flying the P-38 Lightning, called the Scat 1, and also he fly the P-51 Mustang fighter planes, and later he flew the F-101 Voodoos with the Bentwaters. Then he flew the mighty F-4 Phantom II, where he became a double ace, denied a chance to fight in the Korean War. That being said, he missed out on fighting in the Korean War despite his repeated requests for a combat assignment. Um, He was a wing commander in Vietnam, and he was responsible for upgrading the fighter wing and setting traps for the North Vietnam MiG-17s and the MiG-21s, radically changing the procedure for the lackluster fighter performance in the Vietnam. Um, he flew with his fellow fighter pilots, completing a whopping 259 combat missions, 107 in World War II and 152 in Southeast Asia. He racked up a pretty high number. However, according to the policy at the time, no one was supposed to complete more than 100 missions in Vietnam, while he flew 152. His mustache became a legendary, as well as his flaunting of orders of his superiors who had little knowledge of day-to-day operations. This resulted in most of the base growing a mustache in support of his unorthodox methods. He was later directly ordered by superior to shave it, which he complied. He also served with a Royal Air Force, commanding a squadron of, I think it's called the Gloucester Meteor Fighters. Moving on, in the fall of 1966, Olds took command of 8th Tactical Fighter Wing at Ubon Royal Thai Air Force Base. Old's charisma and courage endeared him to his people, and under his leadership, the Wolf Pack became the U.S. Air Force top McKilling wing in the Southeast Asia. Olds also played a key role in the creation of the Red River Valley Fighter Pilots Association, which improved coordination between U.S. Air Force wings in Southeast Asia and became a lasting fraternal organization. Excuse me, folks. Um, Olds led from the front. He shared the same risks as his air crews by flying on the most dangerous missions. He received many decorations for his audacity in combat, including the Air Force Cross for a mission which was back in August 1967, when he led a strike force against a heavily defended uh, Paul Doomer Bridge in North Vietnam. Uh, uh, the crowning achievement of Olds was planning and leading Operation Bolo, which successfully lured North Vietnamese MiG-21s into a combat and resulted in a significant losses for the enemy. Olds designed the Operation Bolo, a daring plan to exploit the MiG-21's vulnerabilities. The plan involved the F-4 Phantoms simulating the F-105 Thunder Chief formations, luring the MiGs into a trap, while the F-4s mimicked the F-105 attack routes, radio frequencies, and even used some kind of more sophisticated jamming pods to deceive the North Vietnamese controllers. When the MiGs engaged, they found themselves facing superior American fighters. Operation Bolo effectively neutralized the MiG threat for a significant period, showcasing all strategic brilliance and tactical prowess. Olds shot down a MiG-21s, and his 8th Fighter Wing F-4's aircrew shot down 6 other with no losses. He also shot down 3 other MiGs during his tour year. When added to his World War II victories, his lifetime victory totaled 16 enemy aircraft. But beyond Operation Bolo, Olds continued to fly combat missions, scoring additional MiG kills and earning the respect of his peers and subordinates. He also famously grew a non-regulation mustache as a symbol of his defiance against what he perceived as overly restrictive rules. The legacy of Olds' contributions to the Vietnam War extended beyond his combat achievements. He is remembered as a skilled fighter pilot, a charismatic leader, and an innovator who significantly impacted the air war and the morale of his wing. Olds returned from Southeast Asia in December 1967, um, basically promoted to Brigadier General in 1968. He became the Commandant of Cadets at the U.S. Air Force Academy, and he retired from the active duty in 1973. General Robin Olds died. Excuse me, folks. General Robin Olds died in 2007 at age 84. A hero gone, but not forgotten. Well, I'm not sure what else to add other than 52 years ago, two states torn at war over political ideology and territory. Now, moving on, a little history of the F-4C Phantom II. I may recall the subject of the F-4 Phantom was covered in a prior reviews. However, it's always a good idea to revisit the subject, which allows us to build upon existing knowledge, right? But we're going to focus on the F-4C particularly. As we all know, the workhorse of the Vietnam was the F-4 Phantom II. It was used in a number of combat roles, lots of mission, lots of history. The F-4 Phantom II was a two-seat all-weather long-range supersonic interceptor and fighter bomber with twin J-79 afterburning turbojet engines. This aircraft could perform three tactical air roles: the air superiority, interdiction, and close air support, as it did in Southeast Asia. First flown in May 1958, the Phantom II was originally developed for the U.S. Navy Fleet Defense and entered service in 1961. Then the United States Air Force evaluated and in 1962 approved it as a newest version for the United States Air Force. In various combinations, the F-4 can carry over 18,000 pounds of externally carried conventional laser-guided or nuclear bombs, rockets, air-to-air missiles, air-ground missiles, and also 20-millimeter cannon pods. Well, the early F-4 did not have an internal gun, and it was used as a missile slash bomb platform. But the newer F-4E incorporated an internal 20-millimeter gun, which is specially modified. And the U.S. Air Force Phantoms also flew a reconnaissance, specifically the F-4C and also the Wild Weasel. This platform was designed for a missile suppression missions. The F-4s were used extensively in the Vietnam War, while later versions of this aircraft were active in the U.S. Air Force inventory well into the 1990s. Although the F-4s are no longer in the U.S. Air Force or in the Navy inventory, a few are still flown by foreign nations. Incidentally, the Phantom was the first multi-service aircraft flying concurrently with the U.S. Navy and the Air Force and the Marine Corps. It is the first and the only aircraft ever flown um, by both by the United States Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. It has been flown by the defense forces of, I believe, 11 other nations: Australia, Egypt, Germany, Britain, Greece, Iran, for sure, Israel, Japan, South Korea. Um, the McDonnell Douglas built 5,000 F-4s, over 5,000 F-4s, making the Phantom the record holder for the largest production run of any supersonic fighter built in the United States. Amazingly, more than 800 F-4 Phantoms II aircraft are still active duty, as I've mentioned, with other defense forces like Germany, Greece, Iran, Japan, etc., etc. Turkey also used to operate them. Simultaneously, 100 Phantoms that have been converted into a QF-4, which used as a drones and missile targets. Using these as a targets, which kind of aggravates me. But anyways, moving on. This platform still serves with the U.S. Navy and the Air Force as a weapon training purposes only. As we all know, if we take a few step backs, the Navy, the Marine Corps, um, F-4s were replaced by the F-14 Tomcats and by the FA-18, the Legacy Hornets, back in the day. But the United States Air Force replaced the Phantom II with the F-15 Strike Eagle and also the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the more agile. Anywho, the F-4C first flew in the early 1960s, and it was later assigned to 8th Tactical Fighter Wing at Ubon Royal Thai Air Force Base during the Vietnam War. And on January 2nd, 1967, many young lieutenants, including the Brigadier General Robin Olds, flew this particular aircraft during Operation Bolo, which basically he was the brain behind that detailed plan, decimating the North Vietnamese MiG-21s, which this is something we've already talked about earlier. Now, speaking about the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing, which nicknamed the Wolfpack, this unit is currently stationed at Kusan Air Base in the Republic of Korea, and I believe they operate the F-16 Fighting Falcons, specifically the Block 40. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Folks, going into more details about these aircraft and the human element story behind them, as I've mentioned, it would probably make this video at least 3 to 4 hours long, which this is something I'm not trying to promote on this channel. You hear that right? But I'm doing my best diligence to provide something short and concise. But beyond being passionate about the aviation history, I mean, I could just talk about the aviation history all day. But anyways, moving on, this particular F-4C Phantom II that Brigadier General Robin Olds flew in the Vietnam, designated as a SCAT-27, is basically on display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. This specific aircraft is the F-4C Phantom II with a serial number, I believe it's 64-0777. I highly recommend visiting the museum so you guys have an opportunity to see the aircraft in a real life. It is an incredible place for any aviation enthusiast. Trust me, you'll love it. Finally, that bigger picture of the history has been covered. Now let's talk about the model. Now, this incredible model made by manufacturer called the Air Commander, made in 1/72nd scale. The model number is AC-1012. Well, the first impressions, I'm speechless. The reason I'm saying this because I'm absolutely blown away by this model. When I first got this model, we're talking 4 years ago. It's incredibly well done. Honestly, there is not much to say. The people at Air Commander did an excellent work of modeling this F-4 Phantom. Now, let me just put it this way, since I have a quite few from Hobbymaster. Um, The Hobbymaster F4 Phantoms is wonderfully baked cake, delightful and satisfying, while the Air Commander F4's Phantoms comes along with a dessert that not just a cake, but the entire dessert bar with a layers of extra features and more refined taste. And I hope this explanation is clear for everyone. But anyways, the story of the Air Commander at the beginning, they were partner with the Century Wings, which is this is another manufacturer. They makes a great model such as um, the F-14s, the SR-71 Blackbirds, which I have quite a few of them in my collection as well, etc. Um, and for unknowing reasons, the Air Commander, they're gone their separate way, and they only specialize for making the F-4 Phantoms. So arguably, this is their specialty. However, while the quality of this company's products is outstanding, their output is unfortunately quite low. Very limited runs of batches, and I will say this, luck was on my side. This limited model was snagged when it first became available. Um, as I've mentioned, we're talking almost 4 or 5 years ago. The MSRP of this model was, I remember, I paid right around 160. Now, oh my goodness, it's virtually impossible to find. Moving on, starting with the paint work, the paint application, especially the three-tone camouflage, demonstrates a high level of craftsmanship and attention to detail. Um, the panel lines really nicely done. The markings are rendered with a remarkable precision and clarity, and the colors are wonderfully saturated and vivid, showing no sign of dullness or fading. Um, Even the undercarriage, I hope I capture those details on the intro shot. The accuracy of the markings is striking, perfectly replicating the real life counterpart. Um, for example, the devil logo on the side of the fuselage, or called the SCAT 27. So for those of you who are wondering about the SCAT insignia, so this was basically a call sign of the aircraft, and the name was famously painted on the nose, and it also featured a two delightful kill markings on the splitter plate, basically representing the MiG kills. Moving on, the antenna and the formation lights are really well done um, across the fuselage. The J79 engine nozzles are pretty nicely detailed. Um, the cockpit details are on point. However, there is one thing I would like to highlight uh, about the function of the canopy. Well, the rear canopy where the system officer sits, it's hinged. Basically, it tips up and tips down. And the same thing applies with the front one. However, the middle section that goes in between that thing, it's a little tiny piece, which when you try to install it, it's kind of a little fussy, but once you get hang of it, you're good. And I think that's just the nature of the F4 Phantom canopy design. It's a little sophisticated, so to speak. So they do also give you two pilot figuring. I would say it's similar to Hobbymaster pilot figuring. Um, Also, the notable differences with the Air Commander is the landing gear assembly. Well, it is engineered a little differently, which offers a unique approach compared to other manufacturers like Hobbymaster. The landing gear in the rear, it comes a one solid piece, which I think it's a better design and more convenient for a collector, more settled, so less stuff to break. But in the front landing gear, of course, it's one separate piece. That's a really good marks for the air commander. Very well thought out. Next, speaking about the armament, so out of the box, you'll get a 4 AIM-7 Sparrows, and you'll get a 2 pylons. You can accommodate various armament. For example, you can accommodate AIM-9Bs, or you get another pylon. It'll have 3 bombs on it. As it's showing here in front of you, basically you can showcase this aircraft in any configuration. You can showcase it in a strict air-to-air or air-to-ground configuration if you so choose. I think it's a good combination, good diverse loadout. Also, you'll get 4 fuel tanks in total, 2 under each pylon, and the other 2, one is designed to showcase in the ground configuration, and the other one is designed to showcase aircraft in a flight configuration, because it has a little slot for the stand insert. And speaking about the stand itself, the stand is also different than the other manufacturers like Hobbymaster. It is a clear plastic. I believe it's a 3 consistent pieces, which this is something I would never use, and basically will stays in the box forever. And also you'll get a excuse me, you'll get a QRC 160 ECM pod, which was an early electronic countermeasures used by the United States Air Force during the Vietnam War. Well, those pods were typically used by the F-105 Thunder Chief, this is another prominent aircraft. The F-4 Phantoms were, sometimes equipped with the QR C-160 to mimic the electronic signature, uh, and the flight formations of the F-105, aiming to deceive the North Vietnamese radar operations into thinking that they were dealing with the less agile, the F-105, which F-105 basically was, carrying a heavy bomb loads. So just to make the deception works. This tactic, famously employed in Operation Bolo, aimed to lure the MiG-21s into a trap for the F-4s to engage them in air-to-air combat. But anyways, coming back to the model subject at hand, so kudos to Air Commander adding those tangible details with the model. The rudder in the back, it moves a slight a bit left or right, and the anhedral stabilizers, they do pivot, which is really nice. Also, the inside the air intakes are painted white, which is really nice detail. So props for Air Commander. So considering all the details, this model is outstanding. The one downside to this model is that currently it's not available in the market. Before doing this video, guys, I've did some research on eBay and some other outlets, and there are none that I've seen for sale. If you get lucky enough to find one for sale, I'm sure it will cost you an arm and a leg. Anyways, this aircraft has held a special place. Its beauty has always inspired me. Farewell to a legend phantom. Now, what do I think about this model? Suffice to say, this isn't just a great model. It's a testament to a commander's legacy, Robin Olds. And looking at this model in a collection serves as a powerful reminder of 2 pioneers who brings to mind the great era of commanders. We remember a great commander who not only led with a distinction but also made the supreme sacrifice for his country. It may bring to mind a time when commanders were defined by vision and leadership rather than the managerial mindset prevalent today. Um, it's time to wrap it up, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you want to show your support to the channel, consider subscribing. That way you'll stay tuned for the next upload. If you guys have any thoughts, please do not hesitate to share them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, everyone.